Welcome to Nerd Space with Jasmine. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 books that I have read or reintroduced myself to this year that I really enjoyed. I am a person who enjoys self-help books. I also like biographies or love stories, romance. I do not like sci-fi and all that stuff. I start thinking too much. I start conjuring up all these different things in my mind, trying to figure out what's wrong with people. I like to watch true crime, but I do not like to read books about crime because it just, I think too much. I get too deep in it, too lost, and next thing I know, I don't even know what I'm reading. But self-help books, not all of them are good. Some of them, because it's opinion based. It's all these psychologists and therapists and different people who have gone through different stages of life or have studied something, and now they have this whole thought of what something is, and it's up to you to decide what you want to believe and what you don't. But these books I felt were all very similar, and in some way I have taken something from the books and used them in my personal life. So I just kind of wanted to go through and tell you why I like them and why I recommend them. Kind of give a quick review on these books. Now, to start, we're going to start here. I am also a psychology major, so it's very easy for me to get caught up in books that are psychologically based or self-help, because I am not the person that's like, oh, I want to study psychology to get in your mind. I study psychology to understand myself better and to understand the people that I'm dealing with. So I gravitate to these books because this is what is interesting to me. So if this is something that's interesting to you, then I would recommend it. Now, I did take notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at, because I have a tendency to go all around and around and around, and I just want to make sure I am staying here. Now, this book was recommended to me by my therapist. It is called Codependent No More, and it tells you how to stop controlling others and how to start caring for yourself. Now, this book I felt was the start of my healing journey for me personally. I had a hard time when I started going to my therapist with setting boundaries and sticking to them. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I felt. I knew what I wanted to say. I knew what I meant. But then when it came to me actually following through and standing firm in my boundaries, I was struggling with that. So this was something that he recommended that I read to just kind of set those goals, set boundaries, and work on it. So throughout this book, it also helps you to set the healthy boundaries, to learn how to say no, to break old patterns, and to be kind to yourself. Something else that I gathered from this book was that anger is okay. I would sometimes get so angry with myself for not setting those proper boundaries, or angry with others for not respecting the boundaries that I wasn't sticking to. And then I would feel guilty for feeling angry. But anger is an emotion that you have to deal with and learn within yourself, so that you can learn how to grow from it and not become so angry at any type of minor inconvenience or thought or opinion or whatever. Something that I enjoyed in this book is learning how to gain confidence as well. And yes, you can think towards the middle of the book. This is my bookmark. My grandfather is in all my books. But one of my favorite things was to quit abusing your mind. Worrying and obsessing creates mental abuse. Like, you're really hurting yourself by continuously obsessing and worrying about things. That was one of my favorite tips from this book. Although I learned how to set healthy boundaries, not abusing my mind and obsessing about things I cannot control was something I also needed to work on. And this book really helped me with that. This is also good for someone who's dealing with family member, friend, partner with destructive behavior. So if you have someone around you who may be addicted to drugs or alcohol, or have money issues, or they're abusive, narcissistic, whatever the case may be, this is something to kind of help you detach yourself and to break free from those patterns of putting yourself in the middle of the pain and hurt. So I would recommend this book to anyone who is going through anything like that, or who may just need some help with setting boundaries and creating healthy relationships around themselves. And to be kind. You have to be kind to yourself. That is very important. My next book is The Secret. This one's pretty simple. It is pretty much the law of attraction. So if you think positive, you have positive outcomes. That's all I gathered from this book. And much like some of the other books that I'm going to go through, not so much codependent. Codependent isn't like, oh, law of attraction, what you think is how you feel. It's really exercises and goal setting and trying to learn yourself a little bit more so you can know how you need to move forward. This one is really like, okay, let's change the mindset here. What we think, what we speak is what we're going to get back. So in the book, it says, ask, believe, receive. But I'm a person who's also big on prayer, and faith without work is dead. So of course, ask the universe, ask God, and you'll receive it. But you also have to put in the work. So I do 100% believe in the law of attraction. I even, you see it when people say, oh, birds of a feather flock together. Is you're attracting who you are. So yeah, of course it does work that way. If you are a person who is a go-getter and is trying to make a whole bunch of money, money is going to come to you because you're attracting that. You're going out and getting that. If you're a person that is big on looking good all the time, you're going to always see things that's going to enhance your appearance. You're always going to look for something better. It's going to come to you naturally. If you're a kind soul, a kind person, kindness is going to come to you because that's what you're putting out. So that's what this book pretty much talks about. Really good book. I would recommend that one as well. My next book that I'm going to recommend is The Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. Now, let me tell you something. This book took me 3 years to get through. And I'm going to tell you why. Not because it's boring or nothing. I want you to just look at this. Do you see the print? I don't know if y'all ever read Becoming by Michelle Obama. But let me tell you, it's too many darn words in that book. Great read. I love you, Michelle. I love you, girl. But there was just too many words. And I'm reading the book like, great God, when am I going to get finished? I'm a person that kind of likes to sit down and read within like 2 days, 3 days. I want to get through the book just like binge watching the show. You sit down with Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, you find you a good show and you just keep on going through that show. You trying to hurry up and get to the end. You can't stop. That's how I am with the book. I cannot stop turning the page. I just want to get through that book. I will sit outside and read. I will sit on my break and read. I'll be in the tub reading. I'm a person that enjoys reading. If it is too many words and I feel like I'm never going to get to the end, I am putting the book down. I'm sorry. It don't have to have no pictures or nothing. I'm not in kindergarten. But Jesus, I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. But this book, I believe, is great for a woman specifically, who is looking to get inner healing. I do believe that what you say is how you feel, what you do is who you are. And that's pretty much what she goes through in this book. There's a lot of different things that she goes through or goes over, such as different gateways, trainings, and teachings that you would go through to learn about healthy eating and respecting nature, respecting your body, how to truly love yourself and love those around you, meditating, affirmations, how to properly set an altar. It's so much good in this book. There's so much good in this book that will just teach you a holistic way to be healthy, especially as a Black woman. It's for all women, not signaling out anyone, but because Queen Afua is an African-American woman and her teachings speak of African-American ancestors, I just felt like I felt more connected to the book. I'm not sure how someone else would feel connected to the book, but for me, I felt very connected as a Black woman. It's a lot of transformative work. So I was not ready. That's why it took me 3 years to get through it. Because when I first opened this book, as a matter of fact, I believe I highlighted it. Let's see here. In the beginning of this book, on page 3, it says, when you choose life, you must have the courage to sacrifice your old, worn out, ineffective self. As soon as I read that, I said, I ain't ready. I'm not ready to sacrifice you want me to sacrifice myself right now? To be who? I don't even know who this other Jasmine is. But then when I was ready, I went on through the book and it was great. And one thing that I liked, even in this same paragraph, when I closed the book, it says here that once you evolve from a frightened, withdrawn state to a courageous one, you will move from confusion to serenity, from mistrust to trust, from spite to compassion, from love from weakness to empowerment, from being an unconscious woman to being a wise woman. And it is very true. When I first started this, I will admit that I feel like my mind was disturbed. Not in a way where it was like disturbed and I needed to get help. It was disturbed like I did not have peace within myself, in my mind. And when I went back and started to read this book, I was in a peaceful state. So it was easy for me to go through the book and relate and say, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. Like, I need to hear this. I need to do this work on myself. I need to pray more. I need to meditate. I need to eat better. I need to make sure I'm healthy within. Even when it comes to womb health, like, we don't really think about it, but you are bringing your whole being into the world. Your womb should be healthy. Things around you should be clean and peaceful and full of serenity so that you can bring life into this world and you can feel whole and your child can feel whole when they're here. So, healthy energy opens the door for healthy love for yourselves and for others. And that's what I feel like this book taught me. I would highly recommend it. It's so good. I bought 2 more copies to gift to my friend and my sister. But I will say that you have to be prepared for that type of work and for this type of reading, because it's very deep. It's not something that you're just going to read and go through. It's something that you're going to read. You're going to go through and read the next thing, and you may get through the book and say, oh, I'm going to go back and read it again. Or you may not even get through and be like, I don't know if did I really understand that? You're going to go back through and read it again until it makes sense to you and you can actually do the work. Even the trainings and the teachings, when you get through the gateways and she's like, oh, you're going to do this for a certain amount of days and do that for a certain amount of days. When you start keeping track of that, sometimes you don't move on from that spot. You stay there until you feel like you have completed that training, that teaching that she has provided before you move on to the next gateway. Because there's steps to becoming a sacred woman. So if you're ready for that, highly recommend. My next favorite book, didn't take me 3 years, but I did read it 3 times, is The Magic of Thinking Big. Now, this book and The Power of Positive Thinking, I read because I saw something on Instagram and Steve Harvey was talking. And he was like, 2 books I would recommend are The Magic of Thinking Big and The Power of Positive Thinking. So I was like, well, if Steve Harvey recommends it, I'm going to read it. And I'm going to see what it's all about. Well, like Law of Attraction, once I saw him say it, then I saw 50,000 other people say it. And I'm like, okay, well, I see my phone is picking up on what I'm thinking and saying and wanting. So let me go ahead and order this book. So I went on down to Barnes & Noble. No, I didn't. I did not get this from Barnes & Noble. I'm lying. I did get The Power of Positive Thinking from there, though. This came from Amazon. Good on Amazon. Because I don't think Books A Million or Barnes & Noble had it. But I do like Books A Million over Barnes & Noble. You see why I got to take notes? I'll be all over the place. This book. I don't know if y'all can see, but I highlighted. It seemed like something on every other page in this book, because that's how good it is to me. I really enjoyed reading this book because it's so many short stories that makes you think, and it makes you relate to people. When you read this book, there are so many short stories in this book that will make you sit back and say, wow, that's kind of me. And you watch these people transform so fast and just make sense of it like that. And it makes you want to do it as well. In this book, what I learned is you don't have to have it all to reach the level of success that you want. You really don't have to have anything but that idea to reach the level of success that you want. And I'm a person that was a person that would self-sabotage. And I would be like, oh, I can't do that right now because I don't have the money. Or I can't do that right now because my hair is not done. My nails are not done. Or so-and-so is not done. And it's like, okay, you're going to either keep on putting this off until it never gets done, or you're just going to go ahead and do it. I really want to find a part of the book that I really liked. I highlighted so many parts in the book. It's hard to even, here it goes. In the book, one of my favorite parts, can you even see that? Because it's yellow. One of my favorite parts in this book is when he says, in the book, he says, tomorrow, next week, later, sometime, someday are often synonyms for the word failure. Lots of good dreams never come true because we'll say, I'll start someday, when we should say, I'll start now, right now. That tiny little piece of a paragraph meant so much to me because that's something that I was having an issue with. Somebody would be like, Jasmine, why haven't you done this, that, and that? And I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to do it later. I'm going to get it done someday. But really, it was never, because the more I said that, it never happened. When instead of me saying that, I should have said, let me go ahead and knock that out now. I'm going to go ahead and get this done right now. And if I would have gotten it done, then I would have been able to at least see the progress or see what I needed to work on so that I can get where I want to be. This book taught me how to get completely out. It made me, everything that I read in this book just made me say, what you doing, girl? You know that meme when they're like, you got to think big. You're not thinking big.
I promise you. Bitch, you think it's small. We need to be thinking big. You need to be thinking big, bitch. You need to be thinking big, bitch.
More than you just doing the work on it. If you have a great idea and you know it's a great idea, if you just say, this is my idea, let me write it down and let me start writing out ways that I'm going to make this happen, things that I need to make this happen. That's you taking a step right there. But if you have this idea and you just sit on it, what is doing? Nothing. I love this book. Also, finding solutions instead of focusing on problems. In the book, one of the short stories that he discussed was a husband and wife that were having issues with debt. And the wife kept saying, when are we going to get rid of this debt? When are we going to get rid of this debt? When are we going to get rid of this debt? And he kept saying, oh, we're going to work on it. We just don't have it right now. We just don't have it right now. Blah, 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 blah. Well, one day I guess she got sick of him. And she was like, look, you've been telling me we got to wait for a long time. When is this going to happen? I want to start working on this right now. And they started working on it. And guess what? Guess where the debt at? That means a lot to me. So I really enjoyed reading that because it helps you to realize that you don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You do not have to have everything all laid out for you. You do not have to have the most money, the best clothes, the best car, the best jobs, nothing to become what you want to become. Another short story in the book, there's a man who owned a business and somebody wanted to come and work for him who had a heavy lisp. No, he had a stuttering issue. He didn't have a lisp. He had a stuttering issue. And people didn't want to hire him because he stuttered. He turned out to be the best employee he hired. So if he didn't believe in himself and say, you know what, stuttering or not stuttering, I'm about to go and get this job, he may not have gotten it. But because he believed in himself and there was someone else who was able to look past his stuttering issue and see him as a person and think big and say, you know what, if you're telling me this is what you can do, let me at least give you a try. And they became a dynamic team. You know what I mean? Like you have to see the bigger picture. You have to think different. You have to grow your mind so that you can be who you want to be in whatever aspect that is. Financial, relationships, employment, entrepreneurship, parenting, whatever it is. You have to get out of your mind and think big and grow. The last book, The Power of Positive Thinking. Let me show you how much I like this book. I got 2 of them. I don't know who I'm going to give that book to, but I went back and got another one because I want to give it to somebody. Anytime I find a good book that I really like, I always buy another one because I have a bad habit of allowing people to ask me for my books and giving it to them. And a good book is like a good outfit. You let somebody borrow, you ain't never getting it back. And I don't like that. I'd rather you borrow a shirt and don't give me my shirt back than don't give me back my book. I'd be real mad about that because what you gonna take most people don't even like to read like me. And I'm not a big fan of ebooks. I will, but I like to hold the book and turn the page. You're gonna take a book? That's really messed up. But anyway, The Power of Positive Thinking is great, but it's a lot like the other books because to me it's Christian based, but it's all about law of attraction, believing in yourself, taking control of your life, knowing that success is in your mind. But my favorite thing from this book was when he discussed that you are in control of your own happiness. That was one of the biggest things for me because it's true. A lot of times we try to put our happiness on other people, and you cannot put your happiness on anyone else. It has to start from within. You cannot expect your husband, your wife to make you happy. You cannot expect a job to make you happy. You cannot expect money to make you happy. You cannot expect your children to make you happy. You have to be happy within. So if there's something in your life that you are not happy with, or you don't like, or you see yourself moving in a certain direction and you don't like it, if you do not change it, if you do not find out what it is that you need to be happy, you will never be happy. You cannot depend on anyone else to give you that. And this book did a wonderful job, I feel like, at explaining that and helping me to see, and millions of others apparently, because he done sold 5 million copies. Lord, that's a lot of, I wish when I become a best-selling author, I need to be up there with Mr. Norman. 5 million. Anyway, if you are not kind to yourself and you love yourself and those around you and find the happiness that you know you want and deserve, you can't be happy. So just not allowing yourself to think that someone else can give you that was the main thing that I got from it. But on the back of the book, it says you will learn how to expect the best and get it, believe in yourself and in everything you do, develop the power to reach your goals, break the worry habit and achieve a relaxed life, improve your personal and professional relationships, assume control over your circumstances, and be kind to yourself. So of everything I just read, you kind of get some of all of that within all of these books. But this book just kind of threw it all into one. Even with the personal and professional relationships, like sometimes it can be really hard to go to work and deal with people and to mute yourself in a way, to have to separate how you really feel and what you want to say from what you actually say and do in that moment. You know what I mean? Like when you come home, you are yourself. So if you're a really happy, loving person, when you come home, you're going to display that. If you're a really mean person, when you come home, you're going to display that. But 9 times out of 10, when you go to work, you're going to be the person they think that you are so that you can receive a paycheck. And I feel like in this book, it kind of makes you aware so that you can have that balance. And you can say, well, if I'm going to go to work and be this healthy, balanced person, why am I coming home unbalanced and unhealthy? And it helps you to really sit in that and say, okay, I need to work on that. Developing the power to reach your goals. I got some of that out of all these books. And after I read this one is when I was like, it's time. I've read all these books. All these books are telling me how to set goals. I've started with really small goals and I've gone to really big goals, or what I felt was big goals at the time. But I need to really sit down and map out what it is that I want from my life in its entirety and start working on that. After I read this book, I wrote out my 5-year plan. I had never really sat and wrote out my 5-year plan. I would go to interviews and they'll say, "Oh, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?" Girl, boy, I'm just trying to get this job. I don't even know if I'm going to be here for 5 years. You asking me, not here on earth. I knew I was going to be here on earth. I mean, because you know what you say. The universe be listening, child. But what I'm saying is, I didn't know if I was going to be on that job for 5 years. So to ask me my 5-year plan, it was like, how about you ask me my 5-day plan? I'm trying to go ahead and get through these interviews and see what this is going to be like and then make a decision. But when I read this book, it made me really think, like, what is your 5-year plan? If you want to be an entrepreneur, are you going to work on this job for the next 2 or 3 years? You have a goal in place. Are you going to work this job for 2 or 3 years and then say, okay, year 3, I'm going to have everything I need from my entrepreneurship endeavors and I'm out of there. I'm going to have enough money set aside to be able to maintain my bills and open a venue and do whatever it is that I want to do. So this book helped me to sit down and map out my life in its entirety. And that's why I really love and appreciate this book. And that's why I bought 2 copies. Now, I hope that you find one of these books in your local Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, or you visit Amazon, and you are able to learn what I learned or something more or something different from these books, and it helps you in some way to love and grow and set boundaries and just fulfill yourself in whatever ways that you need to. Please, if you have any book recommendations that are self-help or biographies or anything of that nature, or romance, I love me a love story, please put it in the comments, let me know, and I will check it out. If you have read any of these books and you gathered something from it that I didn't, leave it in the comments. I want to hear about it. I want to know what you thought of them as well. But like always, love and light. Thanks so much for tuning into my channel. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time on the Reading Rainbow. I'm joking. This ain't the Reading Rainbow. Please don't sue me, y'all, because I ain't got no money to give y'all. We're going to stick with Nerdville. Bye-bye.